saying people can't talk about religion in other countries, and then we start to say, how come I can't wear my hijab when I take my driver's license picture? You understand what I'm saying? Because they're going to fire right back at you and say, you want to have the cake, but you ain't willing to share the cake. So these are issues, let those people handle their problems. And Muslim Americans could have, not talking to you, sister, have to quit feeling so arrogant that they have the right to speak on everything that happens in the Muslim world. This is an Occidentalism, if you will. The reaction to the, Orientalism that we as Western people, Muslims, because we're here in the West, we feel somehow that we have to talk to everything that happens in the Muslim world. They can handle their business, man. We can handle our business. Lakum biznukum walikum biznisi. But when it comes to issues of Palestine, when it comes to women and children being killed by drones, when it comes to people being tortured, and so on, as Muslims, we should speak up. I've never seen a Muslim, unfortunately, speak up about what's happening to Muslims at the hands of Muslims in the way that I've seen them talk about what happens at the hands of non-Muslims. Whereas we know that also Muslims are being treated very badly by other Muslims. Yeah. So we have to have a sense of justice. We can't start talking about freedom of religion in other countries and then demand that we can wear hijab when we take our driver's license here. We're going to be in trouble. So we have to look at the kulli and let the juz'i. 80 million other people can handle that particular. Yeah, choose your battles. And choose your struggles. People might be recording. The Imam says battles. Bottles. Choose your bottles. It's a good question. He said, number one, the Prophet ﷺ and those 4 aspects of fatwa that you talked about. Prophet, when he said that it was forbidden to visit the graves, now you're allowed to visit the graves. Of course, this is wahi. This is what's called nasikh and mansukh, what was abrogated by sharia. This is wahi. مَا يَنْتِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. But the methodology of the Prophet was followed by those fuqaha who came after him. And sorry, it wasn't Qarafi who said this, but it was other ulama. One of them is Dr. Ali Jum'ah. Qarafi is talking about something else. But here, why would the majority of Ahl Sunnah mention these 4 things? Do you think they had a precedent to say that? And that's his question. Now, I'm in a lecture with only 1 hour, or less, 47 minutes. I'm not going to be able to give you every single piece of evidence, of course. But I'll give you some examples. The Prophet ﷺ, in his time, he told the people, do not collect the camels in Medina. Let the camels run free. Because if you mess with a man's camel in those days, it was like you mess with someone's Bentley. Yeah? You know, you get hurt touching someone's camel. You know, it's like touching someone's, iPad or something. So, in the time of Umar ibn Khattab, what happened to Mecca? What happened to Medina? It started to expand. The population increased. Then in the time of Uthman, 12 years after Umar's rule, for 12 years, when Uthman, as rated by Malik in his Muwatta, becomes the Khalifa, camels everywhere. Camels gone wild. How you know about that? Don't ask me. So, it's in the newspaper. So, what does Uthman do? He orders the people to collect the camels. Is he disobeying the Prophet? What did Abu Bakr do when the Huffaz started to be killed in the Harb of Ridda? That no one did before him is to compile what? To compile the Quran. And then in the time of Ali ibn Abi Talib, not only does he order them to collect the camels, he orders them to put them in stables and let people come and prove that the camels belong to them. If they don't, then sell them and give the money to Baytul Mal. Imam Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, why does he say that Zakatul Fitr can be paid with money? Why did Umar bin Abdul Aziz say that Zakatul Fitr can be paid with money? Why did Imam Ibn Taymiyyah and Imam Ibn Qayyim agree with this opinion? Because they said the ultimate goal of that ruling was beneficial to the poor. So you have a number of case studies, brother. I'll give you a classic example of this, is the idea of paying someone to teach you Quran. Imam al-Dasuqi al-Maliki, who wrote the most important book in our madhab called Sharh al-Kabir, which is for the mufti in the madhab, studied in Azhar for 4 years. Which is the Sharh of Khalil. Imam al-Dasuqi says that in the early days of the Ummah, there was almost an ijma' that it was forbidden to pay someone to teach people. Why? Because in the early days of the ummah, the righteous government and leader were taking care of professors and scholars. They will pay them. But as the time, went on, corruption set in, wars happened in the Muslim world, scholars stopped being paid, or their waqf were taken from them, which happened to a number of them. So Dusuqi says something remarkable at the end, and this is under the chapter of rentals, by the way, because he talked about renting someone to teach you Quran. This fell under ijara. He said, this changed because of a change in time and place. And he mentions it very clearly. So there's thousands of examples of this, inshallah. And I plan actually to prepare a course when I come back to America on these 4 aspects of fatwa and how we understand them. But these are, I want to tell you, brothers and sisters, you guys ask good questions. I like these questions. And you don't have to agree with me. I don't get upset. If you don't agree with me, that means that you're thinking, that you're using your mind. I would rather have someone who uses their mind and differs with me than someone who says, great, wonderful, 2 thumbs up. I think because I don't live here. So he's asking, is there some type of union for imams, or he's saying that there's a number of initiatives to. Don't you have a Shura Council? California-wide Shura Council. So there are initiatives taking place to address it. I don't live here, so I'm not aware. But I don't think it will be possible nor realistic to expect everyone to be on the same page. It's just not how life works, right? But if we could get even 45% or 65% to just agree on some universal things, that would be very good. And then give people also the right to differ with each other.
Yeah, there are numbers of initiatives, actually, one of which was Assembly of Muslim Jurists in North America, initiated by Dr. Sheikh Salah Hassawi, whom we are expecting, inshallah ta'ala, next month. We'll announce it, inshallah, to you. But all these initiatives really need the support of the community. Otherwise, they won't go anywhere.
Well, this is not going to be easily answered because you're not going to find a uniform definition of political Islam, even amongst Islamists, right? So, but you should at least make sure that they're truthful in their presentation and that they're impartial. One of the jobs of an academic, at least in the West, the unwritten rule is to be impartial. So I think that's something that you can talk with your, I'm thinking Arabic, not the Amid, the dean or the administration of the department, filed a number of complaints after you finish the class, of course. And also an MSA, and this is the role of organizations to put pressure in student senate. I mean, look what happened at UC Berkeley with the divestment issue. But just as Daniel Pipes is putting pressure on people, I don't think we should be like that because that's problematic. But I would encourage to try to build a relationship first with the person and then have your knowledge together so that when you're talking you can say, well, for example, they might say, this Muslim political organization is a terrorist organization. Then you could respond and say, well, this organization has not engaged in any act of violence for 60 years. So now you're able to talk about it from a knowledge point of view. Number 2 is to find people like Hatem Bazian, for example, up north. That's what they do. That's their specialty. That's not what I do. I can't get into political science, unfortunately. And not to hurt you, but imams are not supermen. When I first came here, they asked me to talk about the environment. Yeah, a brother emailed. I said, look, Aki, I didn't go to the College of Sharia for 6 years or whatever to talk about, carbon monoxide and, the forest in Oregon. I don't know about that stuff. I mean, it's important, and you shouldn't expect me to know about it. Because that's not what I study. But there's people in the community who are biologists or whatever who can talk about that. So you need to find people who are out there, Muslims, who have that background and are able to help you and give you what you need to deal with that situation. But definitely there's going to be a bias, and definitely there's even with the liberals, there's a slant which is unfair against political Islam. Because no one really wants, if political Islam is so bad, then why, if we were to leave these Muslim countries to elect their leaders, most of them would choose political Islamists. And one of the, I forgot who it was, maybe it was Feldman, who said, the Harvard professor, that political Islam is offering people a sense of justice, which they cannot find in other political orientations.
What are the tools you need to re-establish a foundation?
It was nice knowing all of you. I'd like to thank المام بتاعنا أدخلتني في السجن اليوم. لا بس number one, I don't really have an answer for that as of yet, because I think it's also a give and take process between a community and a person. You can never do anything by yourself, and you cannot stand on your own. You're only able to stand with the brothers and sisters and the people who pray for you in the night. So I would say, first and foremost, I would need some time to get acclimated, like this question now about political science, to get acclimated back to what's going on in the West, to be given like a year of vacation, to, instead of becoming, quit being Ahli and become the galaxy, to move from that orientation. Even tonight, if you notice when I'm talking, I'm thinking in Arabic, I'm not thinking in English, so it's problematic for me. Yeah. So having that time to get readjusted. Secondly, to give me space to get my family settled, my children, of course, and my wonderful wife, is the one who's making the real J word. And also, scholars, I'm not a scholar. Let's don't believe the hype. Yeah, I'm just a student. I'm not saying that just wow. And I'm not a scholar. I mean, faqih, we can tell you who really scholars are. We're just conveyor belts of scholars that we've been lucky enough to meet, really, and to challenge us to think. But I need some space to research and write some things that I'm working on, a curriculum for new Muslims, a curriculum on Quranic literacy, some things for young professionals, and so on. So some space. The fourth thing I think is I'll need to pray in the night and fast in the daytime. Without that, there'll be no success. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us some mukhlisin, inshallah. Fa jazakallahu khairan.